NUMSA members are embarking on a nationwide strike in the metals and engineering sector after wage negotiations deadlocked. Our business reporter Kopano Gumbi is following the developments in Johannesburg. That's where General Secretary Irvin Jim is expected to address members. Karinda Jagmohan is in KZN for us for that leg of the story from Durban. Kopano, let's begin with you this morning. Insofar as wage negotiations are concerned, they've collapsed. Any word at all from the industry on this strike, which is set to bring it to a standstill?
Well, Michelle, as you mentioned, the stage is set here today for what is sure to be a spirited engagement between the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa's chair, or General Secretary Irvin Jim, and his members. We're here at Mary Fitzgerald Square, where they are starting to set up. There is quite a heavy police contingent around us, so it is sure to be an interesting day. In terms of wage negotiations and what they have spoken about between the industry and the unions, what we understand so far is that the unions are asking for an 8% increase, which SAFSA, the main engineering body, say they just cannot afford. They're offering 4.4% across the board in the first year. Now, this comes off of the back of no increases for the last 2 years as a result of COVID-19, which has been one of the key sticking points that NUMSA have put forward to the organizations and all of the bargaining bodies to say, well, we were willing to accommodate what happened in 2020 given COVID-19, but this year our members are going hungry, prices are increasing, and they need an increase in their salaries, Michelle.
And I suppose the sort of sticking point for workers this morning will no doubt be the issue around management in the sector, having over the past couple of years received their increases while workers received nothing. Karinda Jagmohan.
Yes, that's the concern for KwaZulu-Natal members of NUMSA here. Now, we understand their strike will start at 10 o'clock. And like you mentioned, their concerns really over the salary increase as the cost of living rises, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. And here in KwaZulu-Natal, especially after the July unrest. Michelle, one of the issues that workers will experience, or rather the industry would experience, is that following the strike, which is expected to be an indefinite strike, workers will continue picketing over the next few days until negotiations can come to fruition. This strike will have a major consequence on the actual industry, especially because many members are employed within the port sector of KwaZulu-Natal, or for Durban specifically, and this has much to do with the country's economic output. I mean, NUMSA as a whole is responsible, rather the industry here that they're fighting for, the steel and engineering industry, is responsible for 2% of the country's economic output. Much of that weighs heavily here in KwaZulu-Natal, and what the fears are from the employers is that this will impact on the output of the economy, especially because many companies are trying to rebuild following the unrest, and they believe that those efforts are going to now come to a go-slow because of the strike. So the KwaZulu-Natal march expected to start at 10 o'clock. They'll be marching to the Durban City Hall to hand over their memorandum as part of this national strike.
Kopano Gumbi, of course, the strike will be taking place in the midst of COVID-19. Yes, we are on level 1 of the lockdown, and there are increases in terms of the number of people who can gather outside. But, the hope will, of course, be that those non-pharmaceutical interventions are adhered to as workers fight for that increase.
Absolutely, Michelle. That is a very important point you raised, and a key concern. In fact, here outside, I know that the regulations now allow for gatherings of around 1,000 or 2,000 people. We're not yet sure how many NUMSA members from around the Gauteng region and other provinces are going to be here. But we are outside here at Mary Fitzgerald Square. If I ask my colleague Gataho to show you The setup, we are outside here at Mary Fitzgerald Square. There is a lot of open space, and they've set up their stage right there at the top to address members at a later point as soon as members start to gather. But it's still quite quiet now. Right now, we expect that the members will start to come from around 9 a.m. and they are going to march similarly here in Johannesburg. They're going to march to the Bargaining Council for the Engineering Sector, which is a couple of blocks away here in town. Michelle.
Kopano Gumbi is live to us there in Johannesburg, covering that leg of the NUMSA strike, which is taking place around the country. It follows a wage salary dispute with steel and engineering employer federations, workers demanding an 8% salary increase in 2021 to be increased over the next 2 years. According to consumer inflation, they say employers are offering a 4.4% increase in the current year. So the main centre of the strike will take place in Johannesburg. Kopano Gumbi is tracking that leg of it for us, and NUMSA members will also go on strike in KwaZulu-Natal. That's where our reporter Karinda Jagmohan is tracking that leg of the story.